Hey students, we're so glad that you're back in small group. And we want to let you know for the next couple of weeks we're going to be talking about family and how God can use just about any family in spite of its flaws. And so today I wanted you to hear from Rosanna Moreno, who leads one of our high school girls small groups. And she kind of lived through growing up in a fractured family. And so we wanted you to hear her story today. So thanks, Rosanna, for speaking with us today. So growing up, did you have any families on any television shows that you really like to watch?
I really like to watch the Family Matters show and the Wonder Years. Mm-hmm. I really think those are really good shows that I can remember as just growing up.
How are those families portrayed on TV?
I really loved how they were portrayed as just usually as a big group, extended families included, and I loved how they always were presented with a challenge or a problem or a struggle. And somehow through laughter or tears, they came together and made it work. And so it was always wrapped up really nicely at the end, where everyone was talking to each other, and it was good.
So kind of like every family on television that we see, they have some problem, and within 30 minutes they kind of resolve everything, and they're back to their happy selves. But that's kind of not the world that we live in. So was there a moment growing up that you kind of realized you didn't have a TV perfect family?
From as early as I can remember, I remembered that I knew that my dad wasn't my dad, even though the other kids knew that their dad was their dad. And so I can remember from very, very early on just knowing that our family was a little different. And then as I continued to grow, our family continued to be incredibly unique. So I have a brother, he's 3 years older than me, and we have the same mom and dad. My biological dad left my mom when she was 3 months pregnant with me, and so we never had a relationship. And then she married again fairly quickly after that. And it was a very abusive relationship, and it didn't last long. And then my mom married again. Again, I was very young when they got married, probably at this age around 3. And that was a pretty violent relationship too. And they stayed married far too long until I was in about 5th grade. And then they got a divorce and my mom married again. And so she married a man who's now I see as my stepdad. And now I have an older stepsister, a younger stepsister, and a younger stepbrother. And fast forward maybe 5 or 8 years after that, as I started to really enter my early 20s, and Jaime and I started to have our own family, my mom started fostering, and she actually eventually adopted 3 additional kiddos. And so when I brought home a brand new baby from the hospital, just a couple days later, my mom brought home a brand new baby, which was really hard on our relationship. It was really tough for me to really reconcile how that even happened, and how she was going to even be able to support me as I kind of ventured through that second time mom journey. That was really hard on our relationship.
Well, one of the things that we see that God shows us in the Bible is that just about every family we see presented in the Bible is kind of an imperfect grouping, right? And so one of the things we want our students to see is that God can use a fractured family, and God always uses broken families to accomplish great things. And so what would you say your story looks like today as opposed to when you were in your family growing up?
Today, I would say early it was hard. I didn't have a really good role model for what a family should look like and how they should act and how they should raise kids. I just knew what I saw. On the other hand, my husband Jaime had a pretty normal nuclear family, if you could say that. It was his mom and dad and brother and sister, and they had a fairly normal childhood up until his dad passed away when he was 15. And so he's always been the one to really guide us through how to even do this, because I remember very early just saying, I don't even know how to do this. I don't have anything to base parenting off of, much less parenting well. And I think we've just learned together through the years how to parent well and how to really repair those relationships that have been damaged over the years with my own personal family. I think it's been a journey.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would you say to a student who right now is living in it, who right now is living in a family that's fractured, that's blended, that is not ideal, and what would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is don't count your family out. Don't count them out. Families aren't perfect. None of us are perfect. And I feel like when we're in our teen years, we give less grace. And it's all about us. And so it's hard to see our families. It's hard to hear them right now. But don't count them out. They've got some really good advice. They love you more than anyone in your whole entire life loves you. And anything they tell you or do or try to lead you through is typically done from a place of intense love. And so if you can paint everything that you see your parents telling you that you can't hear through some eyes of grace, it will really go a long way. And then the second thing I would say is don't count yourself out. Understanding where some of our students are coming from and the lives that they're leading are rough. The families they're in are difficult. I would tell them that that's okay. Because of where you are and how you've grown, that doesn't mean that's where you have to stay, and that doesn't mean that's what your future needs to look like. I would say that's been an encouragement for me my whole life, that what I came from doesn't have to be what I bring into the world and how I live my life. And so it's been a journey for us. So don't count yourself out. Your future is as bright as you make it. And so dig in, find out what you want and where you want to be, and make that happen.
Well, thanks. That's super encouraging. Thanks for sharing with us today. Students, we want you to know whether or not you can relate to Rosanna's story or not. No family is perfect. And so we want you to know that wherever it is you feel like you are in your relationships with your parents or your family, that does not have to be the end of your story. And so I want to leave you with this. 1 Peter 4:8 says this, and God is telling us, above all, love each other deeply because love covers a multitude of sins. And so I want to encourage you to try to love in the heart. And even though you may feel like you're just in it, I want you to know that God is making a promise to you that this is not the end of your story, and that wherever you are right now in your family and in those relationships, it does not have to be the end.
Hey students, we are so excited about this weekend's junior high retreat. It's going to be so much fun. I am sure you're already packed and ready to go. And high school students, our retreat is just around the corner, as well as January 19th through 21st. And we have booked Stuart Hall from Big Stuff. It's going to be so much fun. You're not going to want to miss. So mark your calendar, January 19th through 21st. And then just one more thing real quick. Don't forget to meet us on Sunday mornings on the patio. We're going to have food, music, just a great time to hang out. It's a great place to meet your small group leaders or friends on Sunday morning. So we'll see you there this weekend. I'm like sweating.
All right, Rosanna, tell me, did you have any favorite TV families that you saw growing up?